I see the countdown. All right.
Well, good morning. Welcome to B Cube Sunday Morning, the home of the confused host, the fellow with the new house. Now, what did you do? It looks to me like you moved to the suburbs.
I moved one block from the suburbs to the suburbs, but
Oh,
a
you know what
larger
Mark Twain
house,
said?
a house that will allow all three of my children to have their own bedroom so that the twins don't have to share a bedroom anymore.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And also, I have an office. This is not my office. My office is not set up yet. This is my wife's desk at the foot of the stairs. Because she doesn't mind not having an office in her day job as an emergency room doctor. She doesn't, she's typing away with her patient info with like an ER going around her. So like 3 kids is nothing. But me, I focus. I can't focus without an office, and I haven't had an office in years. So I'm very happy to have a home office, although it's not set up yet. But that's why I wasn't here last month, because that was the week we moved. And we've moved, but like we're not set up yet. So.
Well, it's okay. You're gonna get set up, and it's gonna be lonely.
Lonely?
Oh yeah, an office can be a very lonely place.
Well,
Nothing
the
but
office
you
is.
and stuff you need to do.
Oh well, I can always take a break and go see the kids in the room next to mine. Anyway.
Well, what I'm going to do here, Cliff, is I am going to do what a good host always should do. And good morning, by the way, Wendy. And I had already said good morning to Nancy, but it's always a pleasure to see you guys. I'm going to get out of your hair until I decide to come back in. And I like the fact that you've managed to sell your look to the Odyssey.
Hopefully, we won't get interrupted by a cyclops or siren.
Well, yeah, I know. I tried to, but I found out I don't know how they managed to keep it so quiet on set with the washboard abs that I'd bring to the show.
Well, it helps them get their laundry done.
Nobody laughs at my jokes anymore.
It's too early. I'm still on my first cup of coffee.
I'm laughing.
You've got coffee? I was out working in the shop when the rain came, and all of a sudden, instead of just being able to come in and start the show, I had to do a lot of clean it up, straighten it up, cover it up, put it back, because there were giant raindrops hitting my hat. But anyways, just remember this, that the whatchamacallem, ICE, they're not very good accountants. I see they're spending $20 million or something like that on taser gloves. When don't they know how much cheaper brass knuckles are? And if we're gonna be thugs, might as well be thugs. This idea that if you use technology to hurt somebody, they're not really hurt. It's just a measure. But if there's blood, oh my God, they get bent out of shape. I just don't understand these people. The idea of tasers in and of themselves strike me as something that if they're going to allow these people to taser people, they ought to put tasers in their mattresses connected to their alarm clock, and then make the alarm clock randomly go off early. Not that I would want evil thoughts, but it's just like, why do we
don't give them any ideas, Bob.
What?
Don't give them any ideas.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I am so
they all watch the
disgusted
show.
by the idea that behind everything is the concept of cruelty. And I'm assuming that's my phone going off.
Not mine.
I'm
Not
going
mine.
to take it away, because if I'm left here, I'm just going to be all disjointed and looking at my speaker that's connected to my phone and wondering why it's ringing. So, you guys, it's B Cube Sunday morning with Cliff Winnig.
Bye, Bob. See you soon. All right. Hello and welcome. Ooh, this is like album cover look here.
Yes.
Restream is doing its own things now. So, all right. Hi, good morning. I'm Cliff Winnig. Welcome to B Cube Sunday morning. Let me see. Turn the chat on so I can see chat. Okay, there we have people. Yes.
Oh, good.
We have artist Jeff Sturgeon, as always. Hello. We have Andrew L. Roberts, B Cubed writer. We have some other people who are wonderful regulars on the show checking in. Hello, wonderful regulars. We love you all. So this month, my friend Orkan, who was on the podcast a couple of months ago, because he's a NASA planetary scientist, he pointed me to this article, which is yet another article on tech bros and science fiction, and was an excellent article. And he's like, you should talk about that, Cliff. And I'm like, sure, Orkan, why don't you come on and we'll talk about it. And but then he couldn't make today. So maybe we will do a part 2 in the future. But thank you, Orkan, for nudging me in this direction. But I do have 2 wonderful returning guests, Nancy Jane Moore and Wendy Schaefer, who, like me, are science fiction writers and who, like me, live in the San Francisco Bay Area, home to Silicon Valley. And I'm going to let them, usually I read an intro, but I'm feeling lazy this morning and I've just moved house. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk about like their day job, as well as as much as they want to say, as well as their science fiction and how it might relate to the subject. And then we'll dive into the subject from where Bob left off in his mini rant. Go, Nancy.
Okay, so I write science fiction and I write fantasy, and actually I think this topic unfortunately also gears over into fantasy.
Very much so.
I'm sort of obsessed about the fact that something's named Palantir at the moment. But
that's a little on the nose, isn't it, for a communication company that's tainted by evil?
Yep. The science fiction novel I've got out, it's The Weave. It's old, but it's been there. It's still in print because Aqueduct Press is a great publisher, and my books stay in print.
Go Timmy.
So that's and I also blog regularly at the Treehouse Writers blog, and have a lot of opinions. And probably what really makes me useful to this discussion is that I am obsessed with reading about so-called AI and tech bros, and my current book that I just got, it's not even officially out yet, is The Nerd Reich by Gil Duran.
I saw that on your shelf before Restream did its repositioning.
Yeah, I put it there. I just started it. It's not technically out till Tuesday, but the pre-orders came in early.
Nice.
So I read a lot. In this area, and
also you're a lawyer, right?
Well,
so
I'm a lawyer, but it doesn't have much to do. The law doesn't come into this much. The law has I don't think law has a lot of effect on this. I do a lot of my technical. I don't have a technical day job anymore, but I do work with Unbreaking, which is documenting the destruction being done to our government. It's specifically lately in the area of, I mostly work in data security. which gets into this stuff a lot. So I'm paying way too much attention to it. And so I have thoughts. And I have science fictional thoughts, of course, because I read it, I write it, I have science fictional thoughts. Wendy.
All right. Yes, I also write both science fiction and fantasy, and dabble in poetry as well. And I have a few short stories out there. But
A few
most
excellent short stories out there, but
well, thank you. Unfortunately, mostly in magazines that have folded, but that's the state of the industry. Short fiction's tough, but I believe you can still find my very first published poem on Strange Horizons.
yeah, they're good about keeping things up.
Yeah. And I also happen to work in tech. I guess I would describe myself as working adjacent to the tech bros, not necessarily for the tech bros. I am a technical writer. I write manuals for enterprise software, that allows people to deploy stuff on computers. If you're
That does stuff.
Well, yes, and I mean, like there is a very good chance that any given web application that you are running, including possibly Restream, I don't know, might be running on the software that I document. But that the software division that I am part of was acquired a few years ago by a company called Broadcom, which also happens to make AI chips, among many other things. So I am adjacent to much of the current nonsense, I suppose we could say. So that's
Thank you.
me.
So I also, like Wendy, I live in Silicon Valley proper, and I spent 20 years working in tech at a number of companies, pretty much none of which were run by tech bros, fortunately. I was very, very lucky in that regard. But all but one of them don't exist anymore because tech companies are like print magazines. And there are just very few of them from that time. And I also write science fiction and fantasy. And so this is, I'm going to set the stage for those who don't live in Silicon Valley. An indicator of where you are is billboards. Like if you're in LA, all the billboards are about movies and TV shows. If you're in vast swaths of southern United States, as I was growing up, the billboards are religious, largely. In Silicon Valley, they are, in the whole Bay Area, in fact, they're tech. It's all tech. And currently, the obsession of billboards is replacing workers with AI. That's more or less every little AI startup is saying, we can save you money by, you can fire everyone and just use our little agents, and they'll do exactly what they're not going to hallucinate at all. None of that, So underneath the text of these billboards, you can see the fear that it's not going to work, right? Like the way they phrase things. It's anyway, it's all around us. The call is coming from inside the house if you live in Silicon Valley, or in fact the whole Bay Area. Also mention that in honor of Tech Bros wanting to go to Mars, this is a Smithsonian mug, and it's got the names of all the Martian landers. And I'm using it ironically, as if I were a millennial or Gen Z, because I don't want to be on Mars. I want these landers on Mars. But there's nothing there. There's not even a Starbucks on Mars. I we joke about you land on Mars and there's already a Starbucks there. The that's not true. That's fantasy. So we're going to dive right into what the tech bros want. And I'm going to start with the tweet to end all, the mic drop, ultimate mic drop tweet on this subject by Alex Bleckman from November 8th, 2021. Sci-fi author. In my book, I invented the Torment Nexus as a cautionary tale. Tech company. At long last, we have created the Torment Nexus from the classic sci-fi novel, Don't Create the Torment Nexus. And Bob was talking about one of the Torment Nexus inventions, which wasn't a new invention. It's electric gloves, which ICE wants to buy to deliver shocks. In 1984, 42 years ago, the science fiction and fantasy writer K.W. Jeter's book, Dr. Adder, came out from Blue Jay Books. And that included a totalitarian government and something called a flash glove. Right. It was used by this totalitarian government to kill and terrorize citizens it didn't like. And back in 1984, that was science fiction. When I read about the ice gloves, I immediately flashed to see what I did there to the flash glove in KW's book. You can still read that book, by the way. It's out of print in paperback, but it is in print as an ebook from the author because, as many older authors have discovered, they didn't have to sell ebook rights back when ebooks didn't exist, so they can just put them out, which is one of the things Bookview Cafe does and other authors do individually. Jeter did it individually. So we could start with the attitude of going to Mars, right? Like Elon Musk has made a whole big deal about going to Mars. And if you talk to Kim Stanley Robinson, he'll tell you why his novels won't work now because of the perchlorates in the soil that they discovered subsequent to his writing Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars trilogy. And it's also really, really hard to go into space. I mean, you can do it. Obviously, we have the technology, as the $6 million man said. Show interest said, we have the technology to send people to Mars. I wouldn't want to go on that ship. I mean, you're stuck for like 18 months in each direction, hopefully with some radiation protection, maybe a layer of water in between the two layers of metal. I mean, it is an engineering problem, not a physics problem to get to Mars, right? Which is which I use as shorthand for, yes, it can be done, right? It's a physics problem to get to the Andromeda Galaxy. You could, build a spaceship in theory that was big enough to do it, but it's unclear whether we can get close to light speed without having nuclear bomb-sized reactions with individual hydrogen atoms. And then when you got back, it would be millions of years in the future. So, that's a physics problem. But Mars, we could, build up the technology. We certainly went to the moon before it was wise, right? Like we barely had the technology to go to the moon. We were doing the calculation. We fortunately had some geniuses doing the math because that was necessary. But like when Neil Armstrong landed the Eagle, he put it on manual control and was riding the stick because their original target turned out to be rockier than they wanted, and he had a few seconds left of fuel before he had to abort. So he landed it with under a minute of extra fuel that because they had a little extra. Unlike the cold equations, they had a little extra fuel because no one goes.
They were merely slightly chilly equations.
Yes, yeah, right. Because these were warmer equations. Because nobody would build a spaceship with no margin like that. That would be dumb. That could result in dead stowaways. Anyway, so Mars. There's this obsession And the underlying thing with this obsession of Mars is, I think, Elon's like, well, humanity needs to diversify, be a multi-planet species, so if you want to avoid asteroid strikes. Now that's there's some legitimacy. Neil deGrasse Tyson has said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has said that asteroids are nature's way of saying, how's that space program coming along, right? But I think underlying his enthusiasm is the idea that, well, when we're a multi-planet species, magically, because terraforming Mars is so much easier than controlling climate crisis here on Earth. When we're a multi-planet species, we don't have to worry about trashing the environment here on Earth. Won't matter because we'll be multi-planet. So let's go and trash the environment for our AI data centers and all that stuff, right? Because it doesn't matter. We'll just move to Mars. That seems to be, to me, the underlying message, like the subtext, the quiet part. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think that part of it is that it's precisely because getting to Mars is an engineering problem. Tech bros know how to solve engineering problems.
Fair.
And, Elon Musk actually has, not by any means a spotless record, but a decent record at solving engineering problems. Solving climate
He also
change.
creates them, but
yes, he also creates them. But solving climate change is to some extent an engineering problem, but it's also a political problem. And
primarily political, I would say.
Yeah. And I think part of it is that tech bros, whatever their strengths are, politics is not usually one of them. And
yeah,
certainly,
as we saw with Doge.
Yeah, certainly democratic collective action is not
definitely not one of them.
And so part of this is just a very human desire to reduce the problem to the type of problem that you can solve. Which
that is incredibly generous of you.
I mean, it's probably about as generous as I'm gonna get, but
it's also, as Cheryl notes, a money problem. It is an economic problem. So is going to Mars, and the economic problem of going to Mars isn't the expense of going there. It's like the fact that it's not economically useful to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and to bring up other books, gosh, I cannot.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
There's a good one on going to Mars, because Adam Becker is a physicist. He's an astrophysicist and also a really good writer. So he writes on this stuff, and it's like, yeah, maybe going to Mars is an engineering problem. Living on Mars, I think, is probably a physics problem and a biology problem and a whole lot of other problems. In fact, I mean, living on the moon is too. We have not even remotely got the what it takes to do that. We've got a little bit of information from living on space stations, and and we haven't solved the problems. That there's radiation problems. There's loss of body mass problems that can maybe the people who've been there a long time are going to end up with really terrible osteoporosis or something. I don't know all the details. I note that also Zach and Kelly Weinersmith have a book I haven't read yet about life on Mars, where the subtitle is something like, have we really thought this through?
Is that the Cities on Mars book?
Cities on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read that one yet, but I have. It's on my list. I've got piles and piles of books around here, and there's fiction that needs reading. But the thing is, we have a planet right now that we evolved with. We didn't just, we came along. We're here because of the planet. It's all related. The life in this planet it's made for us because we were made by it.
And also we shaped it and it shaped us.
And all those
two-way
things fit together. And it's a lot easier to try to keep that in harmony with each other than it is to try and go create something that will work as well on a planet that is completely hostile to us. And I grew up, as I frequently tell people, I went to church with the space program. I went to church with the people who put the people on the moon when I was a kid.
You were near Houston. You were in Houston?
I was outside of Houston. I was in Friendswood. Chris Kraft, who was head of mission control, was a lay reader in our church.
Nice.
I know the engineers. They were great people. They were smart people. And
they got us to the moon.
It made me love the space program. I love the space program. I love the idea of exploring space. We need to do it intelligently, and we do not need to be. I mean, maybe humans should. I have no idea if humans should be a multi-planet species. I don't know if that's a good plan or not. I mean, I think creating enough of a space program so that we could keep the asteroids from hitting the planet is probably a good idea. Whether we need to be living elsewhere is another question entirely. I've also read a lot of Becky Chambers novels, and and it's interesting what that does. But there's no hurry. Now that's the other thing that really bothers me about this, is they're in such a hurry, and it's the same thing they're doing with the so-called AI, is they're trying to cram everything in. It's like, wow, you made a nice little, improvement in software here. Why are you trying to cram it into things it doesn't do well? I'm just reading some stuff from a data person that I found via Cory Doctorow, and it's like, boy, yeah, there's probably research, certain kinds of technological research or data research that using this stuff is probably really useful for, But of course, that's not making anybody rich, and they're so tied into making people rich, and it has to be done yesterday. And it's like, wait a minute, we got centuries to develop this stuff in. There's no hurry. There's a hurry about climate change.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily need the technology. There's a hurry about the politics of climate change. There's a hurry about paying attention to what the planet needs, which we know. There's a lot of, the hurry is not in developing new technologies to deal with climate change. The hurry is in doing something and taking action. We have a whole list of actions we could take right now that would solve, ease the things along. But instead it's much more fun to invent something new than to try to fix things. I guess that's,
but also
I haven't heard necessarily good things about it, but Stuart Brand just wrote a book on maintenance, and I don't know that his book is necessarily all that good, but the idea is cool. Maintenance. We really need to work on maintenance as a species. We're not good at it.
It's not sexy,
no,
but it's necessary. Yeah, we elected an administration that's like removing the scientific apparatus that test to see what climate change is doing, removing detectors in the ocean, removing data from the government websites, refusing, just like it's totally like, I can't see it, it's not happening, right? Like, and that's what we elected. And that's doing, enormous harm because we have an outsized footprint internationally. America is 4% of humans, but is, way bigger than that 4% in terms of its influence. And the fact that we're just sticking our head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich, is astounding to me, right? I mean, I guess that's a very human reaction, the human denial, right?
Yeah.
Anger, denial. I think that's the phase we're in right now,
Yeah.
And they're so, you start talking about it and they get so angry. People get so angry who don't want to, accept climate. So the reality, they just want everything the same, to stay the same, which, if you elect an administration that does something about climate change, then everything stays the same. Right? That's how you get that. But you don't get it by ignoring the problem. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. The tech bros, like, I don't know, that a lot of them, like, there were the original tech bros, right? Like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they set up charitable foundations, and they may have been kind of sharks in the business world, and they were, right, both of those guys. But they had a realistic idea of what the universe was and what life was and what the planet was, and they were not about unrealistic things, right? They were kind of scientific in their approach, and they were driven. Again, originally, I think they were driven. There's a profit motive, of course, and then they became super rich, and they were driven by other things, like Andrew Carnegie, right? Like, I mean, they were old school. Once you have exploited people ruthlessly as a capitalist and made your tens of millions, then you're like, oh, I got to think about my legacy. And so far, it's exploiting people ruthlessly. Maybe I should do something nice, and that's how they were. But these tech bros are not like that, right? Like Elon's like, I'm not satisfied with being the world's richest man. I want to be the world's first trillionaire, because that's more important than doing something with that money that might be useful to humans, right? And so Baba Shaggy Baba says stock buybacks for the environment. Yeah.
Yes. Well, one of the things I definitely feel like I'm seeing in the industry, and certainly in the company that I work for, before we were acquired, we had a CEO who was, I mean, obviously very good at making profit, but in his own weird way, also very, very idealistic. I mean, it was strange because basically he was a fundamentalist Christian, but one of the things that he believed was that God wanted him to create equality for women in the workplace.
Works for me, man.
Yeah, and he gave phenomenal amounts of money to charity. Now we have a CEO who's basically pretty much like, the thing that gets me excited is number go up.
Which is also, again, reducing a problem. What do you do in capitalism to a very simple solution? Make number go up.
Make number go up.
Right.
And I feel like, a lot of the tech bros are seeing it's the same thing. The money is the way they keep score.
Yeah.
Like a video game mentality.
Yeah.
High score.
Actually, my current CEO has said, one of the reasons why he likes buying companies is like playing a video game.
Yeah, what bothers me,
which is great when you're one of the NPCs. Like,
it's like the people that, I mean, I'm going to bitch about Microsoft till I die, but Bill Gates and Steve Jobs actually oversaw companies that made products. I'm sitting here on a Mac. As much as I complain, I still have Microsoft Word on here, although they're just about to drive me away to trying to work on the workarounds again because it's just gotten insane. But, the thing is, they seem to have stopped the companies. The whole idea of inventing things and making products that people would like to use is a good thing. I don't have any problem with that. We seem to have lost that. People are making things and pushing them on us that we either have to have because you can't navigate modern life without a smartphone. You need this technology to do your life right now. It's not possible. And they're trying to cram a bunch of stuff in it that gets in the way of that. And You know, and they're just and the whole motivation now is basically core. How can I get richer? You know, number go up, as everybody's saying. It's just like they seem to have lost the whole point. The whole, I mean, the thing with being old, the real advantage of being old with tech, everybody say, oh, you know, the younger generation, they're the digital natives. We're the people that came along when this was being adopted. You know, I got my first computer in the 80s. You know, I got online in the mid 90s, you know, when it got easy. And, you know, I'm not an early adopter, but I'm a little just behind the curve. My God, I remember when Google search came out in the late 90s. It was fabulous. I had been struggling with this stuff. I mean, I saw it get good and then I saw it get bad and I saw what they were doing to it. And people who are younger than me don't have that same experience of, oh, it could be better and they could have just kept this going better, but instead something else kicked in. And I think it's something else that kicked in is the number go up attitude. It's the moving away from making things that people need or want or that enhance life to how can I get rich and how many people can I exploit along the way? And, you know, which makes it, of course, it's a political problem. It's an economics problem. The technology is not that good. It's not so frustrating.
Which was the subject of Cory Doctorow's recent book, Enshittification.
Yes.
Yeah.
That kid sitting around here too somewhere.
Yeah, I had a very interesting experience of talking to my 16-year-old nephew, and he asked me.
Wait, he's 16 now? Oh,
he's 16 now. I know. I don't know how this happened, but he asked me what the internet was like when I first got on the internet, and so I was describing like Usenet.
Did you make the modem noise with your mouth?
Yes, I made the modem noise. But I was describing Usenet, and he kind of thought for a moment, and he said, "Is there a word for being nostalgic for a time that you never knew?"
Yeah.
There is, I think.
I think there is one.
I think.
But he was just so struck by, I mean, it wasn't full of ads and people trying to sell you things, and
you couldn't buy stuff on the internet. There was no PayPal or anything. Right?
Yeah.
The most
everybody,
they could do is direct you to a brick and mortar store. What?
The question was, oh my God, how are we ever going to make money out of this? And unfortunately, they figured it out.
They answered that question. But when I started on the internet, it was mostly .edu and .gov and .mil. Right? There was a .com, kind of, sort of, and there was .org, you know, for NGOs and things, but mostly it wasn't that, you know. Let's talk about military contracts. There are, I think before the discussion went live, Nancy mentioned Palantir. We'll get to Palantir. Again, local to all. And they are, if you don't know, Palantir is based in downtown Palo Alto, walking distance from Stanford University. It's in a part of Palo Alto where you just walk off campus, and then there are what used to be a bunch of offices, but are now Palantir, right? Like they've taken over this area. But I've been reading a lot about, like, you know, like a few years ago, like 6-7 years ago, Boston Dynamics was making cute robot dogs. And now the good thing about Boston Dynamics is they said, we will never sell to defense. Right? Like, we will not militarize our robots. Our robots are civilian only. And great, but other companies created things that look just like Spot, their robotic dog, and stuck guns on them, right? And then now this AI thing that's getting rammed into everything is being used. Like, it's like nobody saw Terminator and Terminator 2 especially, which has the origin of Skynet, right? You know, because like, that's the thing. That's what this article that Orcon, which I'll put probably on the Facebook page at some point, suggested, is that the science fiction is there, but the tech bros read it wrong, right? They don't take the message. They take the cautionary tale and make it aspirational. And so there was this horrific incident in the U.S.-Israel-Iran war from earlier this year, in which the U.S., using AI-assisted targeting without human intervention, instead of hitting a military target in Iran, hit a girls' school, right, full of girls. And, nearly 200 people, mostly children, died as a result of AI targeting the way it was described in Terminator 2, exactly the way it was described in Terminator 2, and that is becoming more and more like autonomous killing machines are not science fiction anymore. Autonomous killing machines are daily reality for people within the military targets, crosshairs of the United States military today, and in fact, all of 2026. So do we want to talk about that? I mean, I'm not sure what to say other than, oh my God.
Yes, I mean, oh my God. I mean, so I do have to deal with various AI tools in my work, and so one of the things that I've been trying to figure out is what are they actually good for? And I came across something.
Radiology, but anyway.
Well, yes, that is one of the things, and I came across something that's kind of encapsulated it fairly neatly, in that it said that AI is good for tasks that are rules-based, data-rich, time-consuming, and there was a fourth thing that I'm and repetitive. And
which is what computers in general are good.
Which is what computers in general are good for.
Computers are good at that kind of thing.
So yeah, like when you need to crunch through a ton of data, like more data than a human being can actually feasibly look at.
Like SETI at home, where the Berkeley invented software working with the SETI Institute, and we all crunched Arecibo data while using screensavers.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, it's really dumb, but like if you're any kind of knowledge worker, like, and you think about how much time you spend like copying and pasting information from one application into another and reformatting it, AI actually does a pretty good job at that.
It's a dumb thing, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it's and when I think about that, military targeting is the exact opposite of all of those things. It's not data rich.
No.
It's not rules based.
Nope.
And it is hopefully not overly repetitive. It may be time consuming, but it's also very time pressured. There's a limit to how much time you can spend in it. And I think that's conversely a very good description of the things that I really think we should have humans continue to do.
Like doing paintings and writing books.
Yes.
And making hard decisions. It just made me, when you mentioned the military side of it, it just made me think of Linda Nagata's not that recent, actually, probably about 15 years old now, a series of books that start with the Red trilogy, which is military science fiction in a high tech, lots of drones, lots of things like that. I mean, it was projecting. It would probably. I haven't read it in a while, but so I don't know how it compares to what we're doing now. But again, to get it back to the science fiction thing, it's like the difficulties those people ran into, and the military, and what it did to the people who were in the military and so forth. She's got a really great way of merging both the tech and the human side of things. And it just, they didn't read those science fiction novels. I mean, They have not read. There's people, you're talking about the don't invent the torment not Nexus novel. There's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of them in recent years. And I was just thinking before we got on, is how many of the people are influenced by things that were really hot when I was 20, and they're younger than I am. And it's like, you haven't read anything since Heinlein and Asimov? I mean, and not only that, you missed the point of most of the Heinlein and Asimov. But I'm not sure where you are on Star Trek, but that's the mid '60s.
They managed to watch Star Trek and then say it wasn't progressive in the '60s, right? Like they missed it. They missed the point. I'm going to point out a very underrated, in my opinion, film from 1992 called Toys with Robin Williams. And it predicted drone warfare and little robotic killing machines. And it was about a toy company that gets the CEO, who is Robin Williams' character's dad, dies of a heart attack. And his brother takes over. And his brother is a 3-star general and is retired from the military and wants to make war toys, which the company never made. And so he makes these like basically effective war toys, and then he wants to sell it to the Defense Department. And this was all so far ahead of its time that it was not a successful movie. But if you watch it now, and I watched it then and I'm like, oh my God, that could work, right? Because I had a science fiction writer brain even back in 1992. And it's what they're doing. It's like totally what they're doing now. And that's a science fiction film. I mean, in the sense that it's also kind of a fantasy, but it's a science fiction film. It's got like it's got a robot. It's got all sorts of things like that. It's an excellent movie. And it was clearly trying to become a perennial Christmas movie, and it took a swing and it missed. But the sets in that movie were based on the Belgian surrealist René Magritte. You could tell by the bowler hat and the style of the poster. They built basically Magritte sets in that movie, and it's just I've never this is the one time in my life I heard a theater audience gasp because of a set. They just went ooh at one point. It was the whole theater. And it was before CGI, so I had to build all that crap. But anyway, that's military. Let's talk a little about Palantir. What is Palantir, and how are they missing the point of the name Palantir so thoroughly? Nancy, did you want to address that?
Well, just in terms of missing the point, the people Palantir was a very seductive technology in the novel, or magic, but
in the Lord of the Rings.
In the Lord of the Rings, in the novels, but it corrupted people who maybe started out as not evil. I mean, it's hard. Saruman, it corrupted him, and I don't think I don't think it corrupted. They corrupted Peter Thiel. I think he was already corrupted. But the whole thing is, I mean, I don't know. They just maybe thought the name was cool, and it was something about seeing a whole lot of stuff at once, and so it made sense. They're not looking. I'm assuming they just didn't look at the underlying things of what it did in the plot. Maybe they didn't even read them. I wonder sometimes if these people actually read the books or just read about the books or something.
David McDonald in the comments says they aren't missing the point, which is a really dark interpretation.
It is a dark interpretation, but it's just like, who reads The Lord of the Rings and wants to be Saruman, much less Sauron?
Right? Saruman was like he also ran bad guy.
Saruman. He's the guy that completely, started out on one side and completely got corrupted. Who wants to be that? Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm looking at it from the fictional point of view. I'm not, it's like, you've got to read the whole story. You can read a lot of stories about cool tech and bad things happen. There's plenty of those kind of stories too. and to miss the point of how something corrupts somebody strikes me is really a significant problem there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's like reading The Lord of the Rings and looking at Sauron and Saruman and thought, yeah, they had the right idea. Industrialization. That's how you improve the world.
Well, there's actually a really complicated history of fascists going gaga over The Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
Like
That's true.
Italian fascists like send their kids to Hobbit camp.
Really?
Yeah.
Hobbit camp, not
Hobbit camp.
Sauron's Mordor camp.
No, it's Hobbit camp because so Tolkien, I mean, it seems like an obvious misreading to us, and I think it is, but when you look at it, Tolkien is sort of setting up the pastoral and the traditional and the very white coded
Mhm.
Societies against industrialization and progress and
But he
a
was
lot of
literally Antifa and hated Nazis.
yes. I mean, I was saying the other day that if I had a time machine, I'm not sure that this would be the most useful thing to do with a time machine, but I would love to bring Peter Thiel face to face with J.R.R. Tolkien and just see what happened. But it is nevertheless true that
it would all end in tears.
yeah, that regardless of Tolkien's intent, there's a long history of, I mean, you also see this in some of the loopier neo-Nazi black metal cultures where a lot of those guys took stage names from The Lord of the Rings.
And then on the good guy side, there's Kirith Ungol.
Yes. The influence of Tolkien in heavy metal is broad, and most of the people are on the side of good. But
we should point that out.
Yeah,
most heavy metal artists, good.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of them are introverts and really sweet.
It's how we deal with our dark side.
It's an irony thing too. It's an irony. I mean, I have a friend who had his motorcycle license plate was Nazgul.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely ironic.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes pretending to be the dark, but that's not who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's partly the pastoral is something that can be reinterpreted a lot of different ways. And the pastoral can be, let's get back to that, let's get back to the 1950s or probably earlier than that, and have a, and the thing in England, for example, with the Hobbit, you can read that as the English class system really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Tolkien was either championing that, or I don't think he was dealing with that at all. It was comfortable to him, especially after World War I, which, I can understand that. But
yeah, if you're sitting in the trenches dreaming of home, that's what you're going to dream of.
Yeah, but it's it's a complex thing in and of itself. I think that's probably easier to misinterpret than the evil side. I mean, the evil side should be blatantly, obviously, but of course, industrialization has got its own champions out there. And wow, I'm just thinking back really far, and it's fantasy again, but Barbara Hambly's novels, or some of her wizard novels, where there's an alternate world, and there's a discussion at one point of, oh yeah, we went through that, we had the Industrial Revolution, and the person is saying, well, at least it made things better, right? And the character who's from our world is saying, well, I'm not sure it did. I mean, there's that. I mean, it's hard to conceive of a world with a modern infrastructure without the industrialization we went through in the 19th and 20th centuries. But there's a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, it arguably made things worse before it made them better. I don't even think arguably, probably objectively made things worse before it made them better.
Well, we started this discussion with climate change, and I would say that has continued to make things worse.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, computers are largely a force for good. We've made a lot of medical advances, right? Like
Mhm.
the COVID vaccine was a scientific miracle made possible by industrialization. Of course, the spread of the virus was also made possible by industrialization. So,
But even the virus is spread long before industrialization. The plague is still with us, but
although even the spread of the plague was arguably advanced by technology, sailing ships.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Humans are gonna move around the world, though. That's ancient. It's actually kind of. I'm influenced by David Graeber, but Graeber and Winnig goes at the dawn of everything. Early cultures, everybody moved around. So I mean, the virus is latched onto us for good reason. We're really useful.
Good hosts. Very hospitable.
Yes. Not all of us die, so it keeps spreading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the Black Plague. There was a good alternate history novel, The Years of Rice and Salt by Kim Stanley, about what if the Black Plague killed 99% of Europe instead of 1/3. So a couple of people have noted in the chat that the Facebook feed has died, and it appears to have died, but I'm looking at YouTube and it seems to be live on YouTube still. So just so you know. Not that anyone, I guess anyone who's on Facebook might not hear that. So I'm going to put that in the comments. Hello, Bob.
Bob? Yeah. What about Bob? Yeah, I went and checked. I saw Facebook feed on both of the primary feeds, so I don't know if it bleeped or if it's really dead. But if it's dead, it speaks to me. And since
it's dead on Facebook, but it's alive on YouTube. We are live on YouTube right now.
I went and looked on Facebook.
Theo Williams says still alive. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I see dead people.
Yeah, we got
every morning I get up and I read look to see what the most current short story by Isaac Asimov is, and then I pop over to my Heinlein feed and check that, and try and stay current.
Yep. Well,
but guys, I'll go ahead, Nancy.
I was going to say you're probably more current than the tech pros we've been talking about.
Oh, my currency, no pun intended, is probably more of a function of my slush pile.
But that means you're always reading new science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always reading new, not necessarily the best, but oftentimes some very good stuff.
And you're publishing the very best of the best.
Some of my one of my editors pointed out that I should take a look at other good stuff that's being published and get a sense of that. And my response was abject appreciation of someone willing to give me meaningful criticism, which I can ignore without oh, come on. Who here accepts every bit of criticism you get?
I mean, you really shouldn't.
Yes.
You shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, that's what I try and tell authors. One of my favorite authors is Deborah Godfrey. She writes simple but good. I mean, she's not going to teach me the role of the electron's spin and capture as relates to whether or not time travel works. But she's going to write me stories that make me think about people and how people interact. And I told her more than one occasion, don't necessarily listen to me. Write the best thing you can write, not the best thing I can tell you to write. Because the true writer, it's in them. And I can inspire them. I can help them trim away some of the fatty tissue that's giving it a sour taste. But mostly it's there. It's you guys. You're doing the work. You understand the work. And yeah, I leave it at that. However, we are coming to 9:59. I appreciated so much of the conversation today. This was a brilliant show. Uh, and I can tell you, you
I have
guys,
brilliant guests.
well, I watch the numbers as well as anything. And,
Numbers go up?
I can tell when numbers go up and I can tell when numbers go down. And I know I've used that quite often when I'm doing my own show. It's like, oh, Bob, get off that topic. You got to, because we are hopefully going to have a next month. We had an enormously wonderful thing happen. Now, Joanne, Nancy, where do you live again?
Where do I live in Oakland?
Okay, yeah, you're down. Oh, yeah, you're just down the street from the Charlie Brown's
Yep,
clubhouse.
yep. Yep.
See, I live up in an ultra right wing area, and we had the most amazing thing happen. We had, and Washington State is a top 2 primary, which is the kind of thing that says if you live in Seattle, you might never see a Republican on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel their pain because most of the time I never see a Democrat on the ballot. But this time we saw a Democrat on the ballot. And I have got, the town isn't plastered yet, but I can tell you what, and I know that you can read that even though it's backwards. So I'm putting those signs up everywhere I can. And that's the essence of what we've got to do. We've got to stop looking for our pony, because nobody's going to give us a pony, and start finding workhorses. And in our district, we had this amazing thing happen. We had a Trump endorsed banker running against 10 other candidates that were almost all Republican, and one independent, and this Democrat that happened to be an Air Force major, worked for a living, had an educated, he's educated, his wife is educated, microbiologist, and they just got out there and went to work. They started talking to people. They drove around. They found people of like mind who did more than talk. They showed up. And what this amazing thing happened on the primary. She only got 35% of the vote. And she spent $90 a vote to get them. Bless her heart. She's a banker. Bless her heart. She's got a Trump endorsement. Bless her heart. And she got 35% of the vote. Now, John got 31% of the vote, which around here for a Democrat is unreal. And he's like I said, he's a retired Air Force major, combat veteran. And he just goes out and talks to people. And the most common image I have of him is him holding out his hand to me, confirming something I said as he walks away. to talk to the next person who's trying to get something to him. He's always in the communication part. And he spent, check this out, for his 31% of the vote, $5 a vote. Does that tell you where the Democrats are right now?
Mm-hmm.
They're not being bought and sold. They're just showing up. They're doing the job. They're knowing what's got to be done. They're knowing what we're up against. And people who haven't been Democrats in years are voting Democrat. It's a wonderful thing. I hope it's happening because you live in a blue area.
Yeah.
Cliff. Yeah, and you as well, Wendy, huh?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just about a mile and a half away from Cliff, so
Yeah, we are like walking distance from each other.
yeah.
But we, but that's the thing about which was the subject of this podcast. We live in this very blue area, but so do Peter Thiel and all
Curtis
these
Yarvin.
tech bros. Yeah.
Curtis Yarvin, that crazy guy they base it all on, lives in Oakland, I think, or
Yeah.
Berkeley.
So, yeah, I mean, it's this weird dichotomy, right?
Yep.
Well, I will just say one thing. Don't be afraid to reach out. I have 2 Vote Blue signs right up against the road, or I will later today, because I reached out to a guy that I assumed was a conservative, but I did it in a real fun way. I have Francisco. He comes by my house a couple of times a month, and he drives a white pickup now. Got rid of the old red one, but he always brings me fruit from the orchards. Then I take that fruit and I put it in a big wagon, and I walk around to my neighbors' houses and give them fresh fruit for their kids and myself, and it's fun. It's there. Don't look at me and say, "Oh, how wonderful." Oh, hell no. There is nothing better in the world than being able to give somebody something they want or like or need, with it not really costing you squat to do it. And that is a joy. And
The very Hobbit-like urge.
Yes.
well, I just, let's just say I don't spread that wealth, but I do believe that if I'm at Goodwill and I see a $2.99 toy that I know my little neighbor girl will love, she's got a $2.99 toy coming.
Mhm.
But you walk over to these houses, and you've also got, now in my wagon, I have my Vote Blue signs. I have my John Dureski signs. I've got their little chunks of their literature, and I can share all of it. And it's hard to tell somebody to get off your porch and you're not interested when they're giving you nice, fresh, really good pears. I got a box of red and a box of green from him, and I got 4 new signs out. So I thought it was worth it. But but I can't give you a warning. Something I had forgotten. I pegged my blood sugar meter on pears.
Yeah, they will do that.
Yes, they will. But you know what? While I ain't no more forever, I enjoyed the ones I did. So every connection we have is a connection with somebody, and every connection we have is an opportunity for us to convert someone to the power of blue. We've got to do it, guys, because if we let these people keep going, they will be insisting that teachers be issued shock gloves. Think about it. That's the world they would be happy with. And if you guys remember Coach Anybody, who had drilled holes in his paddle, if you
Mhm.
can
Yeah.
remember, you know, because that way they got more force, you know, then you know what would happen if there's just people that shouldn't be given certain tools. Um, like I mean, I think we all heard the stories about Trump had to be basically called down that says, no, you cannot nuke Iraq. He wanted to, but basically got told, no, it will be there will be an insurrection if you do. But anyway, thank you guys for coming on.
I'm going to real quick point out an article that the Omaha Police Department school resource officers have been using those electric gloves.
No.
No.
Yes. On MSN, Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha Police Department school resource officers have carried a device called GLOVE, Generated Low Output Voltage Emitter, on their belts at middle and high schools for more than a year.
Middle schools.
OPD said the device is intended to provide a less lethal, lower force option than a taser or pepper spray when dealing with resistive subjects.
Children.
I'm sorry. The words "less lethal" should never be used around.
Yeah, here's
Children.
the quote, direct quote. When you have a resistive subject who is unwilling to cooperate or follow commands, whether it's from school administrators, a teacher, or the officer that's involved in this situation, we want to ensure that we keep the environment safe. And if force is required to gain control, that we use just enough force to accomplish that task, unquote, said Officer Jason, I don't know how to pronounce this, Kvitanov of OPD's training unit. MSN article dated
can't-
1 day ago.
We can't stay ahead of them. You know, you can't write technological science fiction that stays ahead of those with political implications that stays ahead of them.
I remember when I was on the school board. I spent 12 years there. It was a fun, and I learned a lot. I was faced with, they wanted to put police resource officers in the school. Now, there was no reason for it. There was no violent assault problem, nothing like that. And other schools had resource officers, but they were hired individuals that walked around in T-shirts that said resource officer, you know, and was there to help the kids. They wanted to bring in the sheriff's department. And I said, okay, but no guns. Because I want you to write me an essay and tell me what is in that school that they're going to protect with that gun that is more important than the lives of the students that would be lost through misuse of that gun. And we've already got plenty of history from school shootings that show us that that the gun's not protecting the kids. They're most likely to die from the gun. I showed up at the next meeting. They read the motion that had passed. Only it wasn't the motion that had passed. They removed the no gun part. And I said, that's not the motion. I won't vote to approve the meeting minutes. And then they looked at the other 4 school board members and said, was that the motion that passed? Yes. Okay. I mean, that's the world we live in now. You know, you guys were talking about know all knowledge. There's one thing that corrupts, and that is power and the urge to control others. And absolute control of others is absolute power, and it is fundamentally corrupting. And I'm not saying anything you guys couldn't give me 14 quotes for, but it's good to remind ourselves of it. So, Cliff, why don't you round up some closing comments from these guys for things that they gotta want to make sure we know that they know that we should know.
All right. Final comments from my esteemed and most excellent guests. Either one can go first. Nancy went first on the opening, so I'm going to put Wendy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that struck me the most reading that article you sent me was just how narrow and impoverished the conversation around these science fiction novels is in the tech bro world. I mean, there is plenty of meat in Snow Crash or Neuromancer or even The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. Any of these novels that got cited, and it was a really interesting list of novels. I mean, I would love to look at why those novels, but there's so much more to the conversation than mirror shades and virtual reality. Not that mirror shades and virtual reality aren't cool, but I guess my call to action, if you like, is the next time you read a book that makes you think something, talk about it with somebody. We should be talking about what books make us think about, what they make us feel, not just the shiny things that we can make and sell. So that's my pitch.
And before you go on, that's why people like to sit down after movies. Nothing less satisfying than to be told, "Well, it's time to go home." You go home to an empty house and you got nobody to talk to about that movie.
Oh
You
yeah,
just,
no.
So
I would so echo all that because, in fact, there couple of academics, Tracy McMillan Cotton and Matt Sable, are both advocating reading a bunch of stuff and talking about it as actually a form of resistance. And most of the things they're suggesting are actually nonfiction, but I started looking at their list. They had things like the Nerd Reich on there and techno-feudalism. But I'd also say, man, take the Ministry for the Future and have discussions around that. I mean, taking the science fiction. There's so much rich thinking in science fiction, and they go in. I mean, they're doing it like, unfortunately, a lot of the people who make the movies, not all of them. I mean, the depth of Philip K. Dick stuff comes out in some of the movies made of Philip K. Dick's books. You'd like to see people do more with that. I mean, there's ideas there. We've got the ideas. We need to be talking about them more. We need to be trying to influence the system with ideas and not just even with our public. We need those ideas. I think we need to say, wait a minute, what about this? What about that? Read the Murderbot books. Yeah, all this stuff is cool. The Murderbot books, man, they really tear at what the people are doing in Silicon Valley. I mean, not the bad guys in Silicon Valley, the oligarchs. We've got the material. We've got so much material. There's so much good writing out there, and read it and discuss it and push it everywhere we can. I think that's really important.
Yeah, Murderbot is an autonomous killing machine, or is made to be, right? So I'm going to point out that the original article that when Orkan suggested I do this topic, he sent me this article on Aeon, AEON, the looting of science fiction. And I've put a link on Bob's Facebook page, and I've put a link in the BQ Facebook page in the comments to this video. So yeah, and I also point out that so our video stalled on Facebook only, and maybe the tech bro in charge of Meta, who clearly read Snow Crash and didn't get Metaverse at all from what was in Snow Crash, maybe had something to do with it. Did we get censored by Zuckerberg? No. So I'll put that little paranoid thought into y'all's heads. And with that, I would like to thank my delightful guests, Nancy Jane Moore and Wendy Schaefer. go check out things what they wrote. I would like to thank Bob Brown, who hosts these events. Go check out things he wrote and things he published. I would like to thank the live studio audience for really participating in the discussion today. It's even more than usual, and usually it's excellent. So, and future graduate students doing research into the subject of how did people in 2026 think of technology and science fiction? Hi, I hope you get your dissertation published. Bye.
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 Bye, guys, and thank you so much. And remember, influence your friends, turn them into blue zombies. Okay. Bye-bye. Lord, there's an off button here, and it always seems to